What is up, guys? It's your boy GRC. Another day, another dollar. No stress. No stress in GRC world because we don't over leverage on any assets. So no stress. Guys, we got so much to talk about. And the topic of discussion, and I want to give Matty credit where credit's due because he did a great stream last night where he talked about a lot of the market cap action and where Hex at number one. You see that number one? I've seen that number one a lot of times in my life. I'm just kidding. Literally not that many times. This is the ETHw DEX screener, and Hex is trading at number one. Okay, number one. Think about that. If you go a couple down, we're going to skip this YZZ thing for now because I have to see if there's real users there, like human. Like I got to make sure it's not one person that's playing a Gunther or a little Wolverine on it, we call it. But we got to look at that because I don't know what that is, and we're not going to FUD unless we know what's going on there. But what do we see down here? The native asset. The native asset. We've been dealing in a native asset, Ethereum, on the Ethereum proof of, before they did the fork of any sort, we were all on Ethereum. Gas fees were a little insane, but Ethereum's market cap made everyone else look very small comparatively on the Ethereum network. Now the dynamic's changing because these things are launching at valuations that are different. So it's funny to see how some of these, Hex being at a zero valuation by in turn made more people want to buy it. You know what I mean? If Hex was at the same exact valuation on the other side somehow, although it's not really possible, nobody would be buying it. So the reason people are buying this available Hex with T-shares that you can stake for T-shares is because the valuation was low. So I could spend $400 or $500 or whatever and get such a large portion of the circulating supply rather. But let's not get too dirty. Sorry, guys. I've been solo streaming too much. I want to get straight into the topic. We have a developer, PowSwap.io. Let's effing go. Ooh, that's not show friendly. We'll let that one slide. I'm so excited to talk to a developer because everyone I try to talk to who's not a developer, other than like the 2 or 3 friends that I talk to every day, seems to miss a lot of the nuanced points on the underlying fundamental layer of the blockchain technology. And it's hard to have a conversation unless everyone's on the same page. So let's get him in here. I want to know if he has questions for us too, like as we move forward, like the community, about Hex, stuff like this. But I want to talk about technology, interoperability, volume on these exchanges, what's going to happen in the future. Sam's got so many questions, guys. Crypto in the Morning, live every single day, 11 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you share, hit the bell. Bullish is going to drop some links below. We're going to go into the song, guys. Great to see everyone. Good morning. I hope everyone's doing good, except for the fudders. They can get wrecked.
You already know what time it is.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
We're gonna take notes.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
We're gonna take notes.
Smoking a blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. and I'm already tuned in. Got me some Hex and I'm making a stake. Got me some hedge on, I'm making it rain. Pay me some Maxi and that's just in case. GymRat sent me to show you the way.
Defi proof.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
We're gonna take notes.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
We're gonna take notes.
Yo, good morning. It's great to see everybody. I'm excited about today's show. We have the lead developer behind PowSwap.io. What exciting time. We've talked about like when something first launches, how exciting that is, because you can get in at that valuation of virtually zero or very close to like the lower threshold of what's taking place. PowSwap has just launched. super cool stuff that they're doing. That I could see them being the premier DEX on POW, right? ETHw. Also, HEX. And I think I said this yesterday or the day before. HEX, in terms of market cap, right? You have Verizon providing internet, and then you have things built on top of the internet. You have ISPs providing internet. You can think of those as layer ones. And then you have things built on top of the internet, like Google and like Facebook. And if you look at Verizon, say 200 million, I don't know what their actual market cap is, 200 million. Google, $2 trillion. So you have a 10x differential in the prices for the L1 Verizon versus what's built on top of it, Google, right? Or the same thing for Facebook.
Imagine all that stuff with no middlemen. Oh
Correct.
my God. Imagine using the world's greatest technologies with no middlemen, no Verizon customer service, no problems with
lack of customer service.
No, there's no customer service. It doesn't exist. If customer service, something takes you 3 hours to do, that's no customer service. Like we're going to put PowSwap dev right front and center. We have a lot to talk about. I'm going to try to stay calm. That is my only goal. I do a lot of things right and a lot of things wrong, but staying calm is not my best. Because I get so excited about the future, and I don't want to be someone who tells people to do something that's not smart. So I want to be really focused.
Corner Glass is in the house. How would you like us to refer to you? And thank you for taking the time out of your day to come on. I know we were going to chat yesterday, the day before, and you were working on some stuff, but thank you. How would you like us to refer to you? KG?
Just call me K, but first of all, thanks so much for bringing me on and for the warm welcome and for your excitement. GymRatCrypto. Sam, thanks. Love it.
Hell yes.
Thanks
Hey,
for coming on, brother.
I know we had talked about this a little beforehand, but people love the context. People love to know a little bit about people to give an understanding of where that person's coming from. We chatted for a couple of minutes before you came on, but would you share with the audience of like a little bit about your background and then how you got into crypto?
For sure. So, well, my background is backend developer. Like before crypto, I worked at like web consulting company, done websites for big companies essentially, or the systems for it. And yeah, then beginning last year, got into crypto. Essentially, I was trying to figure out what I do because I wasn't happy with what I've done before. Like I want to change in my life, and it's like, okay, well, I have enough money to do whatever the fuck I want to do for like a year. And so, okay, well, I have only one thing that can guide me, and that is curiosity. And one thing I wanted to understand more was crypto. I already like knew some stuff about crypto, but like understand it on a deeply technical level because that's where the fun for me is. And so beginning last year, got into crypto and somehow learned about Solana and then just dove deep in that ecosystem, that community, done some freelancing there, done some other stuff, done some MEV development, and well, stayed in crypto ever since and just kept learning. And like, I love the tech. I genuinely love like how distributed systems coordinate and like how they can coordinate in a trustless way. How to get truth between different parties that actually have like that don't trust each other, and like how to make computers do the right thing and that fast. That is super exciting to me. And yeah, and then like a month or two ago, I learned about, well, the merge is actually happening. And I learned about the point from Galois Capital.
So you didn't have any secret dev powers that told you for certain, because I was under the impression that developers had a certain power that I wasn't certain that it was like, I couldn't be certain that it was actually going to happen. So I couldn't say anything, but I had a feeling this, like Sam kept saying, like, I'm like, oh, they're actually going to like press the button, you know?
Finally.
Right.
But I couldn't be sure. So you're saying even someone with a little more nuanced insight on that stuff, you had to wait even to figure out that for sure it was coming out.
Absolutely, yeah. And like I had no guarantee either. And like sure, I'd like others to think that devs have superpowers, but unfortunately do not. So I had no idea either, but like it looked like it's gonna happen. And so I really liked the point from Galwa Capital that, well, like there will be a fork for human reasons because after the merge, the miners do not make money anymore. They cannot feed their kids, like literally. So they're going to do something about it. And so from that point, it made very much sense that they're going to do something about it. And well, forking Ethereum to keep a proof of work version makes total sense. So I saw the fork to be very likely. I didn't know like how it's going to play out, if there are going to be multiple forks, who's going to do them, what will people do? Will even people use them? What's going to happen? And yes, so I was thinking about well how to make money on this change and on the potential chaos, and like there was
Oh, so you were
there was
thinking
room
about
for
how to make
change.
money. How dare you?
Yeah,
How dare
I know,
you
right?
think about capital? This is about tech only.
Providing a valuable service to the community. Oh, you're such a
No,
devilish
we love
man
that
there.
here. We love that here because that's the way real men think when they change the world. You got to
Absolutely,
get a
and like
value and you got to push.
this seemed like a place where there may be chaos and like things could have broken and like there could have weird things could have happened. And luckily, the merge went smoothly and like massive congratulations to the Ethereum developers, like hot swapping a humongous system in production. That is impressive and it worked out perfectly. So that is crazy. But you know, we have a fork, and so my thinking was, well, what will people want to do when there is a fork? Like, what is definitely going to happen? Because I cannot predict the future, but like some things are almost certain. Like people will want to trade their stuff, like either to sell or to capitalize on like places where they see value when no one else sees. And I think the Hex community saw one place where with potential value, and that's why we've seen so much volume. And yeah, so people are gonna will want to trade, and it was known that Uniswap will not support Ethereum proof of work. Like you will not be able to select Ethereum proof of work on their network selector in the top right. So
a lot of the Hexicans, just so you know, like feel like trading volume wise, like on Uniswap, like Hex is what made Uniswap popular in a lot of our opinions early on. Like the
really.
Yes.
So if you look back,
if you go back, so go back in time whenever you have free time. Look at some of the Richard Heart films from when Uniswap was launching, because he was streaming, just like answering questions and stuff about his product. He made Uniswap popular, and he loves DeFi, and he loves this stuff, and that's why he did the best immutable smart contract that we know of at the time for producing yield. So a lot of this stuff we already knew. Like I already knew, like I knew if the fork came out, I didn't know what it was going to look like exactly, but I watch a lot of RH, and he's coming out with a layer one himself. So he talks about the game theory for hours. So and he's smarter than me because he's been around since Bitcoin was 1 penny. So like he clearly understands how things work. So I pay attention to the guys that have been around forever. And he was saying, you know, we made Uniswap popular volume wise. So I had a hunch that whichever fork happened first, whether that was PulseChain, which is Richard Heart's layer one fork, or this one, I said, whichever one it is, it makes no difference because this is the way technology is going. And as long as they work and there's reasons for people to mine and keep using the system, which I think there is, people have spent so much money on hardware that I know people that like to run hardware just because they like to. Like,
right.
So
Totally
I forgot what I was talking about, but I love all this stuff. And I was really, that's why me and Sam and Bullish were really prepared. Like day 1 or 2, we were like waiting for these apps to kind of work, making sure everything was safe. And then we were buying, you know, maybe not a lot of USD value worth because there's no liquidity, but we were buying large amounts of the supply.
I would love to, Kay, I would love to, this is an awesome story, by the way. This is fascinating. I want to hear your thoughts on POW versus FAIR before we dive into PowSwap, right? Because we have two forks going on, simultaneously. And what's your personal take? You're in really deep into the weeds with the folks you're working with and collaborating with, and I think we're all in a state of flux, right? You said that, what are people going to want to do at a fork? There's going to be chaos, right? There's going to be things that people want to do. And we're kind of in that realm of like, what the F is going on, because we have fair and we have W. And I just want to hear what your opinion is and what you hear in like the grapevine.
So I can't give you like a deeply technical opinion on Ethereum Fair. I haven't investigated them really. I knew about Ethereum Proof of Work, or ETHw, from like the Chinese miners, and well, it was clear to us that like we should focus on only one chain, because we cannot deploy our token on two chains, and like it would make things much more complicated. So we knew we have to pick one chain, and to be honest, for me, it was like, well, Ethereum Fair sounds scammy. Like if something has fair in its name, it probably isn't fair. Just like when a site claims to be extra secure, it probably isn't.
So you mean first glance when you were just like eyeballing.
Yes, exactly. And like when looking at it, there were some weird airdrop stuff for Doge holders and stuff. And like, oh, I don't know. That sounds weird. Maybe it's just to like get the attention of those communities. Like sounds weird. Ethereum, the ETHw sounds less weird, so we are just gonna roll with it. And like,
they launched at the same block height at the same moment.
Yeah,
I didn't know. I think a lot of people are confused about that in the chat, so I just wanted to mention that like these two products launched at the same exact moment in time. That's why the block ID is the same.
So, so you were saying, you're like, I'm not exactly sure about this fair. Just right off the rip, obviously this is just conjecture. We don't fucking know. We're not Nostradamus, but just right off the rip, you're like, I'm not sure about this one potentially. And so you obviously concentrating focus is better than dispersed focus, right? At accomplishing things. So you're like, I'm gonna concentrate over here. Was there any other first takes on ETH Fair that you saw or heard of or were looking at?
no idea. Like, so then like we kept still like monitoring like what people in our group say, like, and once in a while there was someone asking like when PowSwap support for Ethereum Fair. So that was like, okay, that's interesting. And it was always from the Hex people. Yeah, so like I saw that there's some attention, but well, not enough to like change our plan, because again, it was much easier, like also from a technical perspective, to just focus on one. But like I cannot give you like deeply educated text. Like all I have is like just the first hunch, and that's why we went with ETHw.
No, thank you for that, Kate. Cool. Can we first go into like the token, the POW token, and the tokenomics of that, and behind like what's going on with that, before we get into the semantics of how PowSwap actually works? So I'm looking at the DEX screener. I'm looking at the top 100, and because I'm in the Hex community, right? And I'm like, okay, Hex is fucking dominating the top 100 trading pairs, and I'm looking at it several hours after it launches, and then I'm checking several hours later, and then I see this POW, and I was like, okay, cool. I've been scrolling through this several times, and I haven't seen POW. Cool. And then I'm looking through several hours later or the next day, and I see POW and it's paired with Hex. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I guess somebody's trying to pull liquidity out or do something there. And then I keep going like several hours later, the second or the third day, and I see that POW is now paired with several other things over there. And I didn't understand what POW was at first. And then you came across my radar on Twitter or something, or somehow, like that's how, right, it's decentralized, right? There's no like one place. It's like, hey, Kay, somebody who knows somebody, and you're like, hey, Sam, check out this thing or something like that. And now you're here. So can you tell us about the token, how it works, how it's distributed, and some of the tokenomics behind it, please?
Of course. Thank you. So essentially for our token, we take a lot of inspiration from SushiSwap. Like, why reinvent the wheel when you can take tokenomics from other successful projects that do a very similar thing. So for our token, the way how our token gets minted is through farming. Farming means, well, you provide first liquidity. I think that's what you know very well about yield, providing liquidity. And then you put those LP tokens in farms, which means essentially you stake those tokens with our contract. And in return, our contract rewards you with POW tokens. And our contract is the only thing that is able to mint POW tokens. Like, not even I as a developer can mint more POW. It is limited to the contract. And so you stake those LP tokens, you get POW. We can control for which LP tokens you get POW. And of course, you get the most POW for staking the POW ETHw liquidity pool, because this incentivizes liquidity for our token and gets us attention. And like you saw us on deck screen, so that's very awesome. So our token gets distributed through farming. In the first week, we had 10x farming rewards, and we essentially minted like 450 million tokens. 90% of the minted tokens go to the farm, 10% go to the dev wallet to finance our operations, and of course make this for us worthwhile as well. And so, yeah, first week we minted 450 million tokens, and now the rewards reduced 90% to, well, 90% less. And this farming is an incentive to have liquidity. And it's incentivized people to lock LP tokens in our farm. And this allowed us to do the migration yesterday. We moved away from like the old Uniswap contract that was on chain, just like the Hex contract that was on chain, because like the chain forked and now suddenly you have two of the same contract. It is immutable, but it stays there. So just like the Hex contract stayed on chain, and was immutable, so did the Uniswap contract. So while no Uniswap UI worked, the liquidity and everything that was on Uniswap still was on Uniswap. And for the first week, we were a user interface that allowed you to interact with that liquidity. But ultimately, we wanted to move to our own contract, which allows us to, like, for example, collect fees that we can then later distribute to holders, but more on that later. Collect fees, but also show up as our own DEX on DEX Screener, on CoinGecko, whatever. So farming, you take LP tokens, put them in the farm, which is our contract.
Okay, sorry to interrupt. Can you, there's a lot of people, like I've done LP, a lot of people have done LP, but like not everybody has done that. So just briefly, can you talk about what an LP token is? Because I use V3 a lot, so they use NFTs, but there's a lot of people who might not know what that means when you talk about like an LP token. So briefly, just one step back to explain what that means for people, please.
Of course. So LP tokens is for providing liquidity. So the easiest and the oldest way to trade tokens on chain is through AMM pools, things like Uniswap or SushiSwap. And well, it is a pool of money. It is a pool of a pair. So if you want to trade Hex to Ethereum, it is a pool of Hex and Ethereum. And like the pool is 50-50, essentially, of both. And when you provide liquidity, you put 50% Hex and 50% ETH into that pool and receive LP tokens that you can later again exchange into what you put into the pool, you know. And you want to do that, provide liquidity, because liquidity providers get rewarded in trading fees for trading on the pool. And you need such a pool to find a price and like to do orders, like to do trades of like any size. And the more liquidity there is, the larger trades you can do, the larger buys or sells you can do. And liquidity providers.
It also protects the downside risk for new users if it's brand new, because if you only spend a little bit of money and you're a new user anyway, you know, how much money can the rich dudes really sell on your head? Not much. They're not going to just play around. Millionaires aren't going to play around with $30, $100, $500. unless they're just trying to learn. So I always try to tell the new users, like, sometimes it's good to take a little risk on some of these things when their liquidity is so low, because the floor is kind of in, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sorry for interrupting your train of thought.
No worries.
So you provide LP, you get an LP token, and then you take that. So instead of an NFT, like just for me, right? So V3, which we talk about a lot for before everything happened. V3, you get an NFT that represents your position because you can use concentrated positions. With this, you provide over the full range, and you can get a LP token. Now you could take this LP token and you can use this for farming, and that's where you were about to go into before I interrupted you a minute ago. So you got these LP tokens, right? I'm providing POW ETH LP. I get some of these tokens, and now I want to take this and go farming. And please go ahead.
Absolutely, yes. You have those LP tokens. You get money from trading on that pool. That's why you want an LP. And now when you have those LP tokens, what we offer a farm, you can put those LP tokens into our contract. You don't lose anything. You still earn yield on your LP tokens, but in addition, the contract distributes you POW tokens. This incentivizes for us. People provide liquidity in our DEX, and it allowed us yesterday, because we had a lot of liquidity staked in our contract. Our contract had a special migrate function, which allowed it to take all the LP tokens that were staked in it from people that were farming and move them to our new DEX contract, which is the same as the Uniswap contract, just with a small change. That allows us to get listed on everywhere and collect trading fees. The staking contract moved this liquidity to our new DEX contract, and people are now providing on our contract liquidity. So it allowed us to do this automatically, and we reward the people for that in POW tokens. And that's how POW tokens get distributed.
Oh, this is exciting. I'm super excited because there's somebody had built a front end for V3 in this community. They just put it together and put it up there. But having the ability to do what you're talking about now is fascinating. I'm looking forward to playing around with this a lot more.
Good question here. So there is a working V3 UI for ETHw.
Yes, Uniswap.hedron. Can somebody leave this in the chat or put it into the private chat? One of us will, or Bill will put it.
Either one. I'll just post it up. If you, I don't want to put the exact link if I'm not looking at it, because I only use my crypto computer for this stuff.
Uniswap.hedron.pro.
Yeah, Uniswap.hedron.pro is for ETHw, correct.
And we know the developer over there. He's a friend of ours.
And Alex, if you're listening, please add support for the other one. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. Please, Alex, come on my show. Alex, talk to me, Alex. I love you, Alex. I know you're busy, Alex.
It's okay. You just casually mentioned that there's it's the same contract as Uniswap with a small change. I wanted to know what that small change was. And then I wanted to ask you, you also casually mentioned before, like, a little bit of curiosity that there's a fee that can be generated that could be used for distribution. But first, I want to understand what that change is in the contract.
Of course. So it's actually two small changes. One is the LP tokens are now called POW LP tokens instead of Uni LP tokens. And the other small change is an extra function that allows our migrator contract that moved the liquidity on Friday from the old Uniswap contract that was staked in our farms to our new contract, that the migrator contract has access to do that. Those are the two small changes. And then, because now, we have we can call the developer functions on that contract. We also enabled the fee switch, something Uniswap, the default contract, has as well. But you enabled it. Absolutely. So now, same as Uniswap, there are 0.3% trading fees. However, unlike Uniswap, where all 0.3% go to the liquidity providers. In our case, 0.05 go to us and 0.25% go to liquidity providers. However, we want to add staking as soon as possible, which will allow stakers to get those 0.05% of trading fees. So if you stake POW tokens, you get the trading fees or your share of it.
So a question on that. So is this going to, just to highlight for anybody who's not aware of this, on Uniswap, they have the capacity to flip the light switch that allows the 0.3% of fees, instead of all that going to, say, me providing liquidity. Now the 0.3% is broken into two categories. And please, Kay, if I say something incorrect or not right about something, correct me afterwards. But 0.25% I get, and then the 0.05% could go to Uniswap. But what Kay is saying, from my understanding, that has now been flipped, and that 0.05% is currently going to you guys, or in some type of aggregated pool that will be distributed to the POW stakers, if I'm understanding correct this. So I wanted to first make sure that I had that correct. And then second, is that going to be as in like, let's make this permanent so that it, because when there's that question of like, hey, are they going to change this, or are they going to switch this to themselves or whatever? So is this going to be a permanent change, as like, hey, this is hard coded, we're going to leave this switch on, we've taken the keys, we've thrown them in the toilet, etc. on this piece? So first, is that correct? And then second of all, is this going to be a permanent change, or is this just temporary to try to suck the liquidity in so that it could be the premier?
So to your first point, you're absolutely correct. And to your second point, our plan is to keep the fee switch on, and implement staking, so the fees can go to POW holders.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. This is more of a personal question on this, but is there, I know it's going to be more complicated because of how it would be structured, but is there a way to add concentrated liquidity, maybe not in the same fashion that V3 has done, but like maybe instead of over the full range, you could do like, the past, the standard deviation of whatever it is. So that way it's only 2 LP token, or like, I don't know, because you can't like create the same LP token with different positions because it's not going to be the same thing. Or I don't know. Have you guys thought about that? Because I love the concentrated liquidity, but I know there's technical details.
I'm glad to hear that you love the concentrated liquidity. And absolutely, and I'm very confident that we will actually be the first DEX to offer concentrated liquidity, and it will work exactly the same as on Uniswap. We will use Uniswap's we will use Uniswap's contracts and their Uniswap's UI components as well. So we are definitely gonna add Uni V3. I can't tell you yet how long this will take, but I'm fairly confident like we will be faster than the other DEXs on ETHw based on what I've seen from like how they structured their stuff. I think we are in a very good spot to offer that.
So is that going to be, how is that going to be separate? Because like, so people are going to go to PowSwap.io. You guys should check it out if you haven't, where they can go in and provide liquidity where it gets on kind of V2-ish is how I'm thinking about it, versus getting an NFT for, V3. Can you, like, how is that going to be segregated, separated on there?
For the trader, there will be no difference. The trader will just go on swap, and our logic will make sure that you just get the best price. That's it. And for the liquidity providers, you will have the option of providing V2 liquidity, which is how it works right now, or Uniswap V3 kind of style of liquidity. And you will pick the one that works for you best, and that's it. And the swap router logic will find for the traders the best route.
Sweet. Okay, cool. One of the things that I have done just for conjecture, because I think that there's opportunity for V3 to get to V4 and have some new features and stuff like that. I know this is probably 16 steps down the road because there's bugs, there's 1,000 other things that are like you need to do before you get to there. But what did you have in mind? Because you probably have thought about this. You're like, hey, I've always wanted X, or hey, it would be dope to have limit orders, or I think it would be really awesome. I have no idea how the logic would be structured to do this. I have a DEX that allows, instead of aggregation at bridges, where then you bridge over and then you can swap kind of thing. Because I think you mentioned Sushi and they partnered with Stargate or whatever it was, but like having the bridge integration. So if I want to provide LP between, say, ETHw and
I want my hexes to get LP'd betweens.
Hex or something like this, but it's like I could provide that on ETHw. Is there a way to make it so that the DEX has one bigger pool and it provides across multiple different networks, so that, because I'm thinking like that's going to be the next step. Like my mom's never going to effing figure this shit out if she has to do 16 steps to move around from different networks. But having a DEX that makes it so that it's all possible, and makes it so that instead of the bridge is a concentrated point where it holds value, to make the LP pools as where they hold value, and people could go back and forth. I don't know if this is making any sense, but what's
I know what you're saying, and I'm going to just add to it. I feel like all of it's possible, but all of it's still shaky, and all of it's still, there's pools of money, and all of it still has attack vectors. But like, I feel like in a perfect world, in like a year, like all this stuff is just easy as pie. Hopefully, you'd hope that. It seems possible. What do you think?
Okay,
my mans.
So that's an awesome idea. Like, to be honest, we are not thinking that far right now. Like, we are just really thinking day to day, because we really don't know what's going to happen the next day, who's going to pop up, what's going to happen. We try to like just solve the need of people, allow people to trade, and then work from there. But to your point about like liquidity across chains and across bridges, it sounds kind of simple, but I think this is a trickier problem than it sounds, because the problem with bridges are bridges. Because
I'm sorry.
Secure bridges are a very tricky question, and there are a couple different approaches. And I'm not sure if there's a perfect approach yet. And even if there is, like if you're a bridge, like a friend of mine said this very well, if you're a bridge, like you just put a big red dot on your back asking to get shot, because if whoever hacks the bridge has half of the funds at least, because one half is locked in. So bridges will stay to be a very big attack vector, and the weak link in cross-chain stuff, and also the link, but also probably the weak link. So I think it will still take some time to find a good solution to that. I totally can see other projects solving this, but not sure how they will work sustainably.
Okay, what is, and this is just us talking out loud here, and I'm sure that you haven't thought that far down the road, but like on that issue, I've used the same example of like not necessarily a target on my back if I'm a bridge, but like if I've got, $1 sitting on my table, it's cool, like that's a risk. But when you have there's a collection pool of money just constantly filling up at a bridge, like as that pile grows, it just becomes a bigger and bigger target for people to attack.
Absolutely. Like that's why we have so many movies breaking into bank safes.
Oh yeah, great freaking point. Great point. So what about on, even if it's
point, imagine how sketchier that would be to like break into a bank, and people did that forever. And now this, you could do it. You could go to your grandma's basement and just get a couple of computers and a couple of buddies and just be like, hey guys, you got $1 million? Let's fucking 51%, or whatever it is that the plan is at that point. Like, but I think the most important thing is hacking the protocol not valuable, like making it per dollar very not sustainable. Like that's the play, it seems like, in the tech world. Like, oh yeah, you can hack all our accounts. You have $100 billion, you might get arrested too. So it's kind of like, but some people will do it. Some people will capitalize on that.
Absolutely.
Is there like making it simpler? So in the sense, I'm still thinking about the bridge and the DEX and somehow to integrate these together, because I see this as the next evolution of this, where the money can flow much more freely around ecosystems, right? Where maybe it's not all the pairs, but maybe the network, like, AVAX or like ETH or whatever it is, with the native most popular stable of some sort, and that way the pair on where, say, PowSwap is launched, right? W and Pow or something, maybe that's like the number one pair right there. But then on other chains, it's like, say, USDC and ETH or whatever those pairs are, and somehow having one aggregate pool that allows this to be no bridge involved. I don't know what the details are.
Well,
but
there's one simple solution. Just use one chain. And I think my thinking is this will eventually happen because people will use the chain that solves their problem best. And ultimately, I do think for one specific task, like one set of tasks, like DeFi stuff and whatever, ultimately it will gravitate to one chain that just works best for everyone. And cross-chain will not be between different chains that try to solve the same problem, which is, for example, trading and fast transactions and smart contracts. Real cross-chain will be between chains that try to solve different problems. For example, one chain being fast transactions that allow market participants and high-frequency traders to arrive at a price in a decentralized manner, and maybe even better than on a centralized place. And then there will be chains that solve other problems, like, for example, data storage and permanent data storage. So in my opinion, cross-chain will be between things that solve different problems. And ultimately, this means that in that world, liquidity will pool in one chain. And the solution to hacking is reducing complexity. Bridges are hackable because you chain so many different systems together. Like bugs increase exponentially when you chain systems together. Ways to hack increase exponentially if you chain systems together. Uniswap alone worked for 3 years now or whatever, and is super safe because it is one simple system. But as soon as you build stuff on top that interact with this bridge, you introduce so many weak points and weak links, and one of them will break. So simple systems are the solution, and in that regard, one chain is a simpler system.
That's interesting, the way you put that. So say one unit, just hypothetically speaking, one unit increase in complexity in a system of smart contracts or just system overall increases the amount of risk vectors or attack surface or whatever you want to call it by maybe a 10x. So the game, right, is how you guys are thinking about things, and the people you're working with, is how can we try to make it as simple as possible to reduce those pieces?
Absolutely. Make it as simple as possible to reduce risks for users, but also to peace of mind. Simpler systems are much easier to develop on, much easier to maintain, much easier to verifiably show that they are secure. Simplicity is the solution.
Do you find opportunities in that piece where you might have something that's executed by, say, seven smart contracts? And I don't know, I'm not a developer, but is it 7 contracts here? But then you're like, wait, if we do it slightly differently here, or the different logic or the correct nomenclature to describe what I'm talking about, I can take those 7 contracts and reduce it down to 2 contracts. Is that one way it's thought about?
Absolutely. And that is and therein lies the genius. That sounds simple, but is hard. It is really, how can you reduce something super complicated in something that a lot of people can understand? Therein lies genius. And this is true for smart contracts, but I think this is true for furniture as well. For anything in our world, how can you take multiple complicated things and just make it into one simple thing that everyone understands. If you do that, you are a genius and have made the world a more beautiful and better place, in my opinion.
I love it. This has been awesome. Is there any questions lined up? If you want, GRC, do you want to check the chat to see if there's any questions lined up for Kay? And then
Well, we have a couple questions that we can talk through real quick, and one of them being, do we plan on having limit orders? Because a lot of us guys like limit orders, so we're just curious.
So people work and they want to be like, hey, I want to put a trade on. It starts at the beginning of the week and it's available for the week.
I know the volatility in crypto already. 15% a week is going to be your minimum volatility, probably up or down. So like I like to leave it around 8%, 11% lower than where it's at. And if it doesn't fill, it doesn't fill. You just lose a gas fee. But generally, I like to put in limit orders when I'm buying because the gas fees are less. Do you have any thoughts of doing that feature?
No thoughts yet. We haven't we heard people asking for it. We haven't investigated like the technical feasibility and like how much effort it is versus how big the need for it is.
Matcha.xyz has a good example if you want to look at it. I don't know if I use that personally. Matcha.xyz.
Awesome. Well, I'll take it as feedback, but I can't give you an answer to that. We haven't looked into it yet, but I appreciate it that you're interested.
What about stable coins? In your opinion, not even just in general, I mean a lot of this in general as well. Like as you're a developer and you use the blockchain and you have an exchange of sorts. So you know how important the US dollar is in a lot of that for extraction purposes. What do you see as stable coin, a native stable coin? What are you looking for on these chains to make you more excited in your protocol have more functionality as we move forward in the future?
So yeah, well, stable coins are super important for people and traders. Like even if you don't agree with the philosophies of the stable coin, like to temporarily hold value, it is super important and super valuable. So, and this is something we need on ETHw as well. Currently, there are like two bridges, I think, that allow you to bridge stable coins. But again, like here now you're suddenly multiplying the risk and multiplying trust, because you not only need to trust the stable coin, but also the bridge. And especially with the bridges currently, there's one bridge like that was endorsed by ETHw Core, bridgetech.finance or something. But there's no documentation whatsoever, like how it actually works, how it is secured. And like my thesis right now, it is that it actually only has one relayer. So one party that is standing between those chains, like what is the truth? And like, sure, if that party is ETHw, they are incentivized to not immediately rug. But like the more people use the bridge, well, the bigger the pile of money is, the shinier the bank safe is. At some point, you got to go in. So yeah, you're multiplying the risk. And I don't understand the security premises of the other bridge yet either. So a native stablecoin would reduce risk significantly. Then you just have the stablecoin risk, and well, that is something to deal with, at least temporarily.
And that usually takes a long time to, like, if the stablecoin is legit and it has liquidity, it takes a long time to cancel like something, because it takes a long time to get that up and running, to be honest, I think. So to cancel it would probably take a similar amount of effort. Like someone would have to want or mess up, but algorithmic stablecoins, on the other hand, that's another ballgame. I don't even want to go into that topic yet, because I don't really have any algorithmic stablecoins that I really jive with that are launched at the moment. So I usually just use USDC, USDT, and DAI would be what I should be using probably.
Well,
another question.
The record for USDC as well. Like most of DAI is USDC. So like whatever, might as well use USDC. Whatever is simpler in that case. Like it is essentially USDC and some other things, but essentially it is USDC.
But for USD, but for your for ETH on for the ETH fork, the first one that happened that we all initially learned about, you needed USDT to get on MEXC and exchange it. So at that moment, it's like if you didn't have that exact thing or no gas fee in the tank to swap or something like this, there is some, you know what I mean? Like USDT was the only one you could use at the moment when it started. I don't know about that right now, but my USDC I think, but I could be wrong about that too.
There might have been other exchanges or other ways.
Other
It's just that was the path that we chose, but like
Yeah.
could have been
But
happening.
still talking about that path like it's one of the primaries. Like, so I'm kind of like, you know, it seemed like at some point, I never used USDT before in my life before this.
So I had one more question around the staking. Do you have an ETA on that kind of thing by any chance?
No, we do not. Like soon, I don't know. No more than a couple weeks, certainly. Like much less, hopefully. But like, I try to give like a real number and a direct ETA because like with development, like you never know. Sometimes you see that there's unexpected complications, unexpected complexity. So, well, we're working on this. Like this is the top priority right now. So hoping to release this as soon as possible.
When you get to that point, feel free to reach out and we can bring you back on for a segment and we can talk about the semantics of how the staking is going to be laid out or whatever the case is.
Absolutely.
Can I ask you
I'd
how
love
many
that.
hours
That's
you
awesome.
spend a day doing work like this?
Well, the last weeks, like I worked on this in like 3 weeks. The last week was like I was essentially only working on this, and like the night, Thursday night to Friday night, I only slept like 2 hours, so that's why I couldn't come on like yesterday for me like afternoon because like I was done. I was much more irritable than usual. Like drank so much coffee the last day,
Everyone
so,
in
like,
my life is like, something's wrong with that man. Like, don't
Yeah.
talk to him, don't say anything to him. Like, he's busy.
Yeah. Exactly. So now, yeah, the last days have been super busy, like all waking hours working on this. And then like even when you're too tired to develop, like there's always community stuff and like people asking questions, and you still are awake enough to answer those. So the last days have been super busy. Yeah.
Do you have any questions about the Hex or ecosystem that we come from? Like, I say Hex, but like there's a lot of different things. I don't want to go into all of them. They kind of stem around producing yield, trustless yield on immutable smart contracts. That's kind of the stuff that we are in. Do you have any questions? Like, I don't know if you've ever even dove into that side of things. So I'm just curious if you could know more than I know about it. So I'm just wondering.
No, I really came into this chat like really wanting to learn from you guys about like how we as a DEX and a swap, how we can provide more value to the Hex community and
I
like
can tell you how to
what
do that.
your needs are and like especially what your needs on ETHw are, because like before ETHw I haven't interacted at all really with hexagons, so I'm learning a lot right now and would love to hear more from you.
Well, I think one important thing is that if you incentivize these guys in any way, shape, or form for extra yield by using your product because they're swapping, like let's say if they swap between any asset and this asset, they get put on a list. And then when PulseChain comes out, you give a PowSwap airdrop to the people that swapped. This is just an example off the top of my head. But you can get more complex or less complex depending on how you. But so I'm saying stuff like that. Those guys really like deals. They like cool, incentivized deals. They like to be a part of a club that maybe some people didn't get involved in. And that's just a feedback from you because they're all, when PulseChain comes out, another layer one that they already have USD valuation involved in because there was a period where you could sacrifice money for it back in the day. They're very incentivized to be using that protocol. So if you build over there as well, like any kind of like value transfer that you just say, hey, if you're aware of it and you write about it and you talk about it, I'm just talking about the future too. This could be a year out. This could be, you know what I mean? So just keep that in mind. A lot of these guys have a lot of stake in a separate layer one that's coming out that they already have value in their head, whether anyone likes it or not. So that's my feedback for you. It's just a lot of guys that love good deals, love buying bottoms, love earning yield, and love crypto being no middleman. And
if you this is for me, but I'm sure it goes for GRC or Bullish in the background, or I don't want to speak for the entire community, but like if we can help in some way or answer questions or you know, provide support in a way, you know, clearly you get to see that this community at least is paying attention enough to be the first people on the fucking new forks relative to any other community, because they're paying attention to this stuff. In my opinion, there's a lot of smart people in this community, but that goes for every community, but they have to be really paying attention. If you need help with something, if we can provide value in some way, if we can support in some way, if you're like, hey, this new shit's coming out, we got staking, it's dope as fuck, like, let me know. I'm happy to help. I like people who are, open, honest, and just trying to provide value by coming up with, a creative way of solving problems, like, reducing that complexity. I think is golden. Like, I love the way that we put that. Please feel free to reach out. We
want this all to work.
Yes.
We want this all to work because it's awesome.
And it was so beautiful to see, like, in our in the PowSwap Telegram chat, like, once in a while, first, like, there was some people were there, like, with the hexagon, whatever you call it, in his name, and like had some problems, and then maybe like one of the founders or admins or whatever helped them, or like we were in DMs helping, and then after they stayed on, and like when other people had the same question, they helped out, and like, yeah, dude, the Hex community is out for you. I'm like, wow, that's fucking awesome and beautiful, and so I appreciate a lot. And well, of course, one thing you can do is use PowSwap and transfer liquidity from Uniswap to PowSwap, or like from the Uniswap contract.
That's literally what I was going to be doing after we finish up here.
I appreciate it so much. Thank you very much. Yeah, we are working on being like the DEX you go to when you are on ETHw. Our goal is
saying Premier. Start throwing the word Premier. Throw
the
when
Premier
you say
DEX.
Premier.
Love it. All right.
That'll help you
PowSwap
frame it into reality.
Premier. Love it. Awesome. Yeah. So that's what we are working towards, and of course, people using it helps us out a lot. And we are, of course, also talking about stablecoins, figuring out what is the best bridge, and if there isn't a best bridge, can we provide the best bridge? Like how we can actually like provide, safe-ish assets, and decide what will be the canonical USDT. If USDT isn't going to decide to be natively on the chain, which bridge are we going to promote as like the solution? We're working all of that because, again, we want to be the place where like people actually seriously use the DEX, not just a place for shitcoin casino.
There's a bridge that runs on a side chain next to BTC that is, I was told it's trustless. I don't know about how to fucking verify that, but maybe there's something there that you could fork potentially, or copy a lot of elements or design cues or whatever it is from it. I wish I knew the name. It starts with an S, Sovereign or something. It's the RBTC side chain. So you can basically bridge in BTC, but it's trustless through this process, and whatever they are doing could hopefully be copied, or hey, this is what they're doing, let's do it like this, but make it even simpler, make it even stronger, make it even less trusting of it, in a way that allows it to happen. Hopefully, if I can find the name of it, I'll shoot it to you on Telegram.
I appreciate it.
Where can people show where you want people to check out? Like, is it your Twitter? Do you have a Telegram group to answer questions? Like, go ahead and talk about that stuff as we go through and wrap things up here.
So PowSwap.io or app.powswap.io either works. You land on our app and you can swap, where we hopefully solve your problem, which is trade and swap and make money. Follow us on Twitter on on Twitter at PowSwap_IO. And on our main page, we have on PowSwap.io, we have a Telegram icon. I think on Twitter, we have it in our bio, but also I can just give you the link. Come to our Telegram. This is the best place. People are so awesome. It is super active. People are excited. Like our mods literally work voluntarily for us because they are excited. Everyone is excited. So the Telegram is the place. We do have a Discord as well, but the Telegram is like where it's on fire. I'll send you the link.
Yes, and you can put it in the private chat here on the StreamYard, and we can share it out to everybody. That's
Awesome.
dope. Take your time. Go ahead and pull it up.
Yeah, I just joined. I'm causing a racket.
So yeah, come join the Telegram, ask questions, and
And post funny memes. We like posting funny memes.
please post funny memes. Memes are the future.
People love memes. Our people love memes. We love making big money and buying dips and posting memes in between.
Okay. Love it.
It's all about keeping it light and funny in these groups too. Like a lot of these groups don't survive because people truthfully get bored because at some point there is sideways action in every product and everything.
Absolutely. Before I jump off, I need to forward you one thing from Thomas, our marketing genius. You both have sick mustaches, and I have to agree with him.
Oh yes.
Hey, marketing. Yes. He is a marketing. We shaved it. We started by doing we just wanted to have cool mustaches and it stuck, and now we're mustache people.
It's funny because I want to show mine off, but I can't. But they've seen it. They've seen it.
Producer Bullish has a fluffy mustache too, so don't forget it, everyone in the chat. Hey man, thank you so much for coming on. This has been absolutely insightful and incredible because I need to talk to more people that are actually building, knowing what they're doing, excited about the future, because that's really what's important. Because bias, people will talk about their bias too much, and then but developers generally cut right through it because they're building. And it's like, dude, we're building. Like, what do you want to talk about? Game theory right now? We're building. Like, we have to build. We have to get the things in order so that the humans can act. This is all about human interaction and emotion. And if you build the right things with cheap fees and a good user interface, the people will come. But then you can have help from communities that also have other trading pairs that, it's the future of DeFi. You know what I mean? And this is what it looks like. And if you want to be the premier deck on anything, you got to just start calling yourself premier, top of the game, just speak it into reality, because as long as everyone's safe, it's all about user experience. We just want a user experience that works properly. Any added benefit to that is only doper, because no one's in the game yet. There's no one here yet. If you feel like there's a million people trying to do exactly what you're doing, I just think there's probably like 6, and half of them are probably alcoholics. So you're probably good. Like, you know what I mean? We're so early in crypto. We're so early. And that's why you're here. You said, I felt like there was opportunity. I felt like there was chaos. You are 100% correct, sir. Like, you made a good decision. And I think you should keep your eyes on PulseChain when it comes to building in the future as well, because I think you can do great things over there.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I appreciate you, bro. If you need anything, feel free to reach out. We're going to let you run. This has been awesome. Hope you guys who are listening and or watching enjoyed this here. Check out PowSwap.io. GRC, you can check out Twitter down below. Check out the Telegram for PowSwap. Check out the Twitter for PowSwap. And PowSwap.io. My Twitter's down below. GRC's Twitter's down below.
We're all in the Telegrams now. So, guys, just keep chatting, asking questions. We'll answer them. We'll get these guys to answer all your questions. Just make sure you're joining and paying attention.
Go ahead, Kay.
I appreciate it so much. Thanks for bringing me on. Thanks for allowing to share a little bit about PowSwap. And thanks so much for helping me learn a bit more about the HEX community and yield and what you're interested in. And that was an absolute pleasure to be on. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Later.
No middlemen, man. It's a great life. No middlemen yield is a great life. And guys, GymRatCrypto show starts in 50 minutes. The GymRatCrypto show, we're covering all the ETH forks. We're covering Zen because that's coming out. I have the GitHub stuff listed right over here. So they have some new updates. I got a bunch of stuff to talk about. And we're going to be looking at some Vitalik videos and some other videos as we try to figure out which one of these chains is going to move forward, guys. Everyone, have an amazing day.
Stop. Wait. We have some updates.
Yes.
Before we sign off.
Yes.
We gave out 36,900 HEXF to 5 winners. So go into t.me/HEX POW to see if you were one of the winners. 2 already confirmed. I'm missing 3 more. Go to citmcast.com to get all the updated links. We're still going to be migrating over to a dedicated channel in a few weeks. And tune into GymRat show. He's going to be giving updates about the Crypto Fitness Challenge because the winners will be announced. Community voting ends tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So anyone in the Crypto Fitness Challenge who's listening and is not aware, go into the Telegram, it's pinned, and go vote for your community member. And other than that, everyone have a blessed day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Hey guys, have a great day. Make sure you fight for freedom.
Young folks, you dripping on them motherfucker.
Richard Heart. Richard Heart.
Bought my hex from the fucking start. .1 every day we mark. Bought my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Heart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hairy start. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Heart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hairy start. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Checking my MetaMask moving. Look at the hex, he is mooning. Looking at why they be choosing. Peter is why they be losing. Pull chains out and they'll get me a check. He's gas up and it got me a mess. Remember the times he died collect. Hex I been eating, I'm dying in the best. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this PulseChain lingo. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this PulseChain lingo. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Bought my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Heart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hairy start. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Heart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hairy start. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart.